Hey, it's Ryan here at We Olive Pasadena, and I'm here with a wonderful family who's going to share their story about how they came across biomedical treatments for their son.
I'm Gigi Hutchinson.
And I'm Joe Hutchinson.
We have a 16-year-old son named Drake who is on the autism spectrum.
How did you guys figure out these biomedical interventions that most people don't hear about, the diet and the supplement route?
I think like for us, like sort of there's a gut instinct that, maybe in the doctor's
Literally.
office you're hearing something and it's just not clicking with you, and or maybe it's time to like seek out some other sources or some other
There was a lot
ideas.
of that. A lot of things we were told in the doctor's office just did not feel right, like the immediacy of needing to medicate and things like that. So we just I would say the best things we learned were from other parents and from trailblazers that had been there before us, and from great organizations like TACA, things like that. So we really are, it's a journey, and hopefully we can also be trailblazers for others as well.
So what age did you guys start the biomedical treatments?
Probably soon after we had like a diagnosis and we knew where things were going.
That's true. He was
Just with making good food choices, and then we started hearing about things like dye and how that affects the kids, and just started eliminating things things or avoiding things in the beginning.
Yeah.
And that probably happened around the age of, I want to say the official diagnosis was at 4.5. So somewhere down the line after that, we started really opening our eyes to a lot of things, and realizing, I remember when we first heard about gluten-free, we're like, what? But yeah, there's so many different things, and we've tried a lot of them and still do a lot of them.
Yeah.
And what were some of the first changes in behavior that you noticed?
Definitely things like hyperactivity, like when he got off the dye and the dairy, it seemed that really toned down the hyperactivity. But also, as far as the gluten, brain fog.
Yeah,
a big
I've
thing.
definitely seen an increase in clarity, more engaging,
More present.
Conversational, sort of engaging, which
Mhm.
it's always a surprise. Like, wow, he's talking, we're having a conversation, and then it's like, what did we do different today? It's like, oh, we didn't do this, or oh, we tried that, and it's checks and balances.
Yeah. And we talked about before, maybe making negotiations and not always having to be 100% free of this or that if there's a family event or a school event or something that's important to, participate in.
Yeah, birthday parties are the big thing with kids, and this cake comes out and it's all blue and red and stuff, and it's like, we want our kid to be able to enjoy that moment with his brother or with his peers, and then, we know tomorrow, we're going to clean up. So.
And we know, and that's just the thing right there, is we know that, once this stuff goes in his system, we're well versed in what to expect and what we have to do, and we do our best. Also, juggling it with our other son. He has a brother that's 13. But yeah, I mean, he's always been a pretty healthy eater, so we're grateful for that. And now there's so many more choices as far as, the food part of this goes. So we're grateful that we can rely on that.
I've always paid attention to things he craves, and he craves things like sushi, or a piece of steak or meat or something. And I'm just thinking, like with the fish thing, we started introducing fish oil every day, in the first thing in the morning, and before he goes to school, he has his fish oil, and I see that having a positive impact on how he starts his day every day.
No, we're always making sure we do the basics. Even if we're not 100%. with everything, you know, part of the biomedical is the supplements, you know, like he was talking about the fish oil and, you know, the vitamin B and the probiotic and, you know, all this other stuff. And it's like a 3-ring circus sometimes, you know, trying to like get all this stuff in him every day, especially now that he's a teenager too, and he's even more defiant, you know? So it's, even if we can get something in him every day, we're happy. It's a success.
Yeah. You know, I mean, speaking of that, in terms of tips, you know, what would you tell other families that are just starting this journey? You know, if you knew then what you know now, you know, what would you tell yourself?
I think, like, you know, for instance, like behaviors, you know, like, you know, in the doctor's office, they're going to want to give you medications for those things. But I know, like, if I'm putting garbage in my body, I'm going to act a certain way, you know. And if I'm eating healthy, I got better brain function and I'm more active and present. And just, you know, myself as the sort of experiment, I want to apply that to my child. I mean, what you know, does it make sense to eat like greens and some fish oil and drink water, or just take a pill that's prescribed to me? And I want to put good stuff in my body, and that's always my first choice. You know.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, food is and can be medicine, and that's really important. Just to make sure the diet is healthy and well balanced, and you're as much as possible avoiding the things you can avoid.
Yeah, it's a balance. You know, if you're gonna have this too.
Yeah, and if you can't be perfect, I guess my other bit of advice, don't worry about being perfect, because it's a lot of work, you know, and you can get really burnt out, and it can also be a big burden on the child. And I think it's just really good to do the best you can and just be as supportive as you can.
Do you see this as an investment in not only his future, but sort of your future as well in terms of health? I always exclaim how much these children taught me to take care of myself as well.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I mean,
you know, what you do now, you're making habits for the future. You know, if your kid's going to eat well and you know, take the right types of supplements, it just becomes habit, and then they want it. You know, so, you know, they keep continuing with that as they get older, and as they you know, hopefully become more independent. You know, they know that that's part of their regimen, and they'll continue.
You wrote a song about hope, and I'd like you to share a little bit about that and what inspired you.
I have a song called Even Now, and, you know, as a musician parent, you know, in the music business, I don't see a lot of musicians out there supporting, you know, or offering hope to families that are out here. And I just was inspired to write the song to, you know, I needed a little hope. So I wrote something that was kind of helping myself feel better. You know, the future's looking brighter every day. You know, how do you want to look at it? You know, do you want to like stay in the depression and that thing, or do you want to like try to make your life better, try to help your child and make things better? And it's a challenge, but maybe through that song, other parents will hear it and they'll get a little hope to keep trying another day. One more day. That's all it takes. Just one day today. What can we do?
He's played it live, you know, at events, and definitely a lot of, you know, of autism type events and family events, and the response is overwhelming.
Yeah,
people really respond to it. They really feel good.
It has a universal appeal to it, so, you know, anybody who's going through any kind of trouble or challenge will feel a little uplift when they hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great message, because the other families say that that's the X factor, you know, never giving up and constantly having that hope.